Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Brampton Board of Trade's Expert Series. My name's Todd, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the Brampton Board of Trade's Expert Interview Series. This is a series that we have developed to help our members in the business community pick up new tips to help them through this pandemic and thrive as we get through the other side. This Expert Series is made possible by our sponsors. That they include Goodison Insurance, the Toronto Pearson Airport, CN Rail, and our good friends from Deloitte. Today's session is about digital transformation. What are the models? What are the processes, the technologies that can help your business thrive? And today, I'm just absolutely delighted. We have an expert from Deloitte, Conrad Frank. He's the manager of assurance there. He's the leader of Deloitte's Office for Digital and Automation Advisory. He has over 13 years experience in small, mid, and large companies in a variety of industries. He's been the CFO for many companies, ranging from those in manufacturing to advertising, technology, and e-commerce. And he's known for being a strategic thinker, an individual that not only knows the numbers, but knows how to make the numbers sing and how to help CEOs and customers make the decisions, clients make decisions that will focus on people, process, technology. And he's got hands-on experience in how to revamp the finance function and improve performance, business intelligence. He is a champion of tech-based solutions for continuous improvement, enjoys implementing new systems, processes to create efficiencies within the finance function and to maximize the value that finance can bring to an organization. Welcome, Conrad. So glad that you're here today.
Thank you, Todd. I almost didn't recognize myself with that introduction. That was very gracious. Appreciate it.
Well, as I say, our members are so happy that you're able to join us today because digital transformation is what is on our mind these days. We see it as an opportunity to get through this pandemic, either by digitizing our products and services or automating some of our processes. And I guess that's where I want to start with this, Conrad. What is digital transformation, and what are some of its examples in practice that you're seeing with your clients?
Yeah, that's a great place to kick off. So first off, I think it's important just to distinguish between digitization, and digital transformation. So digitization is really just the conversion of analog information into a digital form. So take, for example, a papered vendor invoice. That can be entered into a system, which essentially digitizes the invoice. Now, digitalization is the use of technologies to change a business model and provide new value-producing opportunities. So in that same example, you might incorporate a software system like Receipt Bank or Concur that has optical character recognition that can then pull that vendor invoice into your system and enter the details of it into your financial system without any manual work in that process. So that's the differentiation between digitization and digitalization. And then as far as digital transformation is concerned, it's really more a holistic focus on driving organizational change and ensuring the change, which will likely involve digitalization and digitization, ensuring that change becomes a core competency of the enterprise to drive value throughout the organization. So that kind of helps lay the land of the differences there, and to really understand that when we talk about digital transformation, we're talking about a large scale focus of an organization to focus on improving the customer experience, improving business processes in the back office, but really taking a more holistic approach rather than just kind of one-off examples.
Well, thank you for explaining the differences between there, because I think it's really, really important. What we're talking about today is the wholesale digital transformation, which, as you said, is really an agent for organizational change. So my next question is where we begin. I mean, there are so many different processes that can be transformed, be it client management, be it lead generation, be it billing, etc. Where do you recommend a company start its digital transformation journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. First, let me jump into a few examples of digital transformation, just so everybody has a lay of the land of what we're discussing. So, in the banking industry, one thing that we're looking at is um, what they've done is a great job of moving the bank onto your mobile app, essentially. So now with your banking app, you can transfer money to a friend, you can pay bills, you can even use your phone as a credit card when you're going to the gas station or going to the grocery store. So that shift is a perfect example of how they're trying to make the customer experience that much more user friendly and thus attract more customers to their product. So RBC is competing with TD and competing with Scotia. They're all competing against one another to provide the most effective onboarding strategy to get people to really embrace their apps and use them more efficiently. And then in retail, really the e-commerce, is the big one. We're seeing a complete shift in how consumers interact with the product and with their brands. So no longer, sure, people are still frequenting the retail locations, but what we're seeing now is customers are quite comfortable going online and understanding how they're shopping online, and they're comfortable with how it works and with the processes involved. And even speaking with these customers, they enjoy the way they're interacting and using Facebook or text messages to interact with customer service agents. And the brands are then using AI chatbots, artificial intelligent chatbots, to help bridge the gap to help find the best solution for these customers and get them the right product. So it's really these overarching transformations of businesses that are helping the customer get a better product, and in some cases just improving the back end processes. So
Well, that seems like a really good place to start the digital transformation. You can never go wrong by getting to know your customer better and
exactly.
enhancing the customer's experience. I read recently that I think it was IDC said that a recent customer survey that 70% of those that have recently taken on online shopping plan to continue online shopping post-pandemic. So that experience is definitely here to stay. Now, that's not to say that bricks and mortar shopping is not going to be equally as popular, but it'll be for different things, things where you want to touch and feel the product. So is that really your recommendation as well? You mentioned AI for identifying gaps in customer needs. Tell us a little bit more about the first steps, and in particular, I'm interested in AI integration into your consumer database. I understand that 2021 is going to be the year where that becomes much more commonplace.
Yeah, so actually on the Fast 50 growing companies, I think it was the first place company this year. They're called ADA. Is an AI chatbot solution. So essentially, what they've done is created artificial intelligence. So once you enter the website, you've probably seen it before. The little chatbot pops up, and you can start speaking to that person. So well, it looks like a person. You're actually speaking to artificial intelligence. And what they're trying to do is route your questions to the right person. So, and in some cases, they're trying to just avoid having to route your questions to a human person and answer the questions based on the information that you're giving them. So, it's amazing how that turn has really revamped the whole purchase process, and it's given people a whole new way of shopping and helps streamline the A to B process of going to the website and then finding the shirt you're looking for. You can now with artificial intelligence, they're starting to pick up on your demographic. If you've already logged into the site, they have some details on you, so they can kind of direct you based on past purchases. And all that is really increasing the conversion rates of these customers. So where previously they might have gone to a website and they had like a 5% conversion rate for customers that went on the website, now their conversion rates are getting up to 40-50% as far as these customers that are actually buying products from them. So it's wild what AI is capable of doing in this space.
That is really fantastic. You mentioned ADA. Is that ADDA? Is that how you are?
ADA.
ADA, that's fantastic. And you mentioned, how it can onboard customers. For those of us that are a little older, we can maybe make the analogy of frequently asked questions or FAQs on our website. Now we can load those anticipated questions into the sophistication of an AI system like ADA, and through its algorithms and through its capture of other data that has been in your database or entered by the customer, as you say, it just enhances the experience. It reduces the amount of human interaction that's really required. Not that human interaction is bad, it's just you want that human interaction to be value added. So it can save a company a lot of time, and as you say, help with the conversion rate as well. I understand that AI can also be used to help onboard new employees as well, routine questions, etc. And that's certainly a good place to start on a digital transformation journey. The customer experience, enhancing it, AI can be a solution in that. And I'll look up ADA for sure. Tell us a little bit more, Conrad. Tell us about what are the top 5 things on a digital transformation checklist. You mentioned one already, the customer experience. What else is there?
So as far as the top 5 things, really it goes back to, I think, first, and you asked me earlier, you mentioned, where do you start, right? And I think that's an important question that I don't want to gloss over. But when you're starting on your digital transformation journey, we're seeing a lot of companies that are, they've heard about digital transformation. It sounds great. Let's do digital transformation. And what that means for them maybe is they might, find a tool they might find an AI chatbot. They might find, a new ERP system that helps automate some processes. But essentially what they're doing is just digitalization, and they're incorporating these new technologies into their system, but they don't have the larger vision of what digital transformation entails. So from a starting place, I think the most important thing you can do is ask yourself why you're doing this. So it's not about the how to do it. It's really about the why you're doing it. Is it to improve the customer experience? Is it to provide some back office efficiencies? Is it is it to just keep up with your competition, right? Because that's obviously one of the most important factors. And if you see your competition pulling ahead, you really gotta keep pace with them. So I think first and foremost is why are you doing this? And then from that standpoint, it really cascades down into building a vision, building a roadmap that goes with that vision, and then starting on your journey at that point. So that's kind of like the where do you start. Now, to answer your question about, what are the 5 top things on the transformation checklist, it kind of ties into that. So it's like, why are you doing this? What is your vision? Where are you trying to get to with this digital transformation? Who do you have to execute the strategy? And that's hyper crucial. So, for smaller businesses, they don't necessarily have the financial power and the resources in-house to do the digital transformation. So in this case, they have to be very smart with who they partner with how they achieve their goals, and select projects in in a more siloed on a more siloed basis in order to achieve the results that they're hoping for. And then, fourth would be how are you going to execute the vision? So building that roadmap, and I'll keep saying this, having the vision and having a roadmap is hyper crucial. So how are you going to get there? Build the roadmap, and then where do you begin? And that kind of goes back to, do you take the customer focus? Is that what you're trying to solve, or do you look at your processes and go at it from that particular angle?
Very good strategic advice there, Conrad. Know your why, know your vision. Do you have the people to execute? What is the roadmap? And then begin. It can be a little overwhelming for folks, and it doesn't have to be. I think the worst case scenario is that we think about it, we read about it, but we don't do it. A paralysis can come in, and there doesn't need to be. I'm going to ask Justina to put a link into the chat for our viewers here today. We've started something with the World Trade Center, which is a digital needs assessment. It's through the Recovery Action Program. And I found it to be very, very helpful to help companies take the first step. The first 30, if they've got 25, 30 minutes, they can take a look at where their gaps are, and then sit down and have a conversation with you about building out that vision and the roadmap. We're here, folks, with Conrad Frank. He's the lead for digital and automation advisory for Deloitte. We're taking your questions. Please put your questions in the Q&A or in the chat. We've talked about getting started. We've talked about AI, customer experience enhancement. What about the flip side, Conrad? What are some of the pitfalls that can happen and should be avoided when embarking on a digital transformation journey?
Yeah. So this is a scary stat, and I don't mean to scare people with it, but 70% of digital transformation initiatives either don't achieve the expected ROI they had hoped to, or they fail completely. So that is a fairly significant number. That's according to Forbes. Those numbers range, but we've heard, they hover around 70% is what we've seen in industry. And so, that goes back to what we talked about, how to get started, ask why, build your vision, build your roadmap. That can help displace some of these issues. But some of the common pitfalls that we see, there's really 5 main pitfalls, and the first one being thinking transformation is a short-term project. So companies might get into it and they might say, okay, in 3 months I want to automate this particular function, but digital transformation and changing your business from a analog way of thinking to a digital way of thinking is really a mindset, and you need to be thinking 1 to 3 years in the future and building your plan on that time scale. Because if you're not, you're thinking short term, and you're not really thinking how is the landscape changing. Because the landscape is changing so fast. And if you're not thinking further into the future, you're changing for present problems, which aren't solving potential future problems. So it's important to, stay ahead of the wave and watch out for what's happening, or your competition will frankly pass you by. Second to that is it's just that we've seen a lot of times where companies put technology before their business considerations. So they have a problem, they'll tack on a new CRM tool, they'll tack on a performance management tool, and they start tacking on things to kind of solve the immediate problems. But what they start doing is building these legacy systems that they have trouble scaling up, and so they're not really looking at their business as a whole entity, and they're solving particular problems. And then when the time comes to scale up faster, they're left with all these legacy systems that they now have to try to migrate into a more sophisticated ERP software or a CRM or whatever it is. And because they did it kind of haphazardly at the start, and they didn't kind of consider the business as a whole, it leaves them 10 steps behind where they need to be. And so that's something that's important to watch out for, is just consider the business as a whole, and don't just tack on technology solutions to each individual aspect of it. Third, I would say find the right partners on your journey. Whether you're hiring in-house or you're working with a professional service firm, make sure that you're comfortable with who you're working with. You're looking at their background. You're understanding their benefit and how they can help you, maybe in your specific industry, or maybe in just an overall capacity. But you really want to make sure you're comfortable with your partners, and being in the I'm sure there's a lot of small business people on this call today. You don't have the ability to typically bring in a chief digital officer or chief technology officer. So in those cases, you're left with really outsourcing the need for that person. So it's trying to find that right person that is going to be a champion for the digital transformation. And just as a further on to that point, for a small business, it's important that the leader then becomes the cheerleader for digital transformation, because really, it comes from the top, and it has to be communicated down. So if the leader isn't bought into the idea of digital transformation, you'll never see a successful implementation.
Really good points.
Yeah. Fourth on that point is don't rush into things. Walk before you run. Take a methodical approach to doing this. It can be, it's almost counterintuitive what I'm saying, because digital transformation is happening so fast that you want to dive right into the deep end, but that just sets you up for failure. So take your time. Don't rush into things, and then do not underestimate the cultural challenges involved with this. So when you're changing the culture of a company from an analog mindset to a digital mindset, there's many people that will get left out. They'll feel uncomfortable, that they don't understand where the company is going. So it's trying to really bring that vision and bring transparency to what you're trying to do, so that everybody buys into the idea. Because if you're not getting everyone's buy-in, that's one of the typical things that we're seeing that causes the 70% of failures that are.
There is a speed limit to change, so I'm glad that you included that in your top 5 there, in terms of things to look out for. The cultural challenges, of course, making sure that you don't bite off too much, that you can chew, walk before run, having the senior leadership, the CEO, as a cheerleader for the project, putting business issues and making sure that they come to the forefront, not tech issues first, then biz, but the business solutions that you're trying to bring about with the technological options. Making sure that you budget enough time. You said 1 to 3 years is, I think, very good advice as well. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in terms of the key thoughts or things to keep in mind as companies embark? Some good advice here in terms of where to start, pitfalls to overcome. What else should our companies know?
Yeah, so I just want to stress ask why you're doing it. Build your vision, and then build a roadmap. I can't stress those aspects enough. As far as, what I want to get across is digital transformation really isn't a choice anymore for the modern enterprise. You need to be thinking about this in order to keep pace with your competition and with the pace of business. If you're not currently thinking about it, you need to be. And if you are currently thinking about it, reach out to a professional. There's tons of literature that I could recommend that would help you on your journey. But get that information and understand as much as you can about transformation, because it is a complex subject and there are a lot of pitfalls to watch out for. Right. And then second to that, again, move slow, plan accordingly. Rest assured, your competition is moving fast, but don't try to necessarily keep pace with them if you feel that you're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. You really want to build a plan and follow your plan, as opposed to pivot too often and reiterate. Even though technology is going to change and you have to be aware of those changes and be able to pivot, you still want to have a good plan for the long term that you can kind of stick to.
Yeah, good advice. I see that we do have a question in from one of our viewers today. And he was just wondering if you could drill down a little bit deeper on a typical manufacturing operation. Where would you recommend, maybe you have clients that you've helped, where have they looked first to start on the digital transformation, a manufacturer as opposed to, say, someone in a commercial office, for example?
Yeah, so in the manufacturing space, what we've seen is just a streamlining of the entire supply chain and making sure that the data is flowing. If you're using maybe a third-party logistics provider, or you're using multiple partners in that supply chain, making sure that the information from the point of sale is coming right down the manufacturing line and going out the back door, so that information is being passed quickly and efficiently, so that there's no lag and you're able to find efficiencies in the process. And then furthermore, in the manufacturing space, it's looking at business analytics. I think that's important, is incorporating that into, depending on the type of, if you're doing large scale customized manufacturing, maybe it's not as important. But if you're doing, large scale, but like a lot of individual items, in that case, you want to look at your stats and the sales that you're producing to help drive your manufacturing process, so that you're predicting what's going on as opposed to reacting to customer sentiment. You want it really to be all incorporated into together.
Good advice there, Conrad. Look at data flow. Make sure that you have the processes in place for seamless delivery throughout the shop. To your point on being able to predict and making sure that information is valuable, look at tech solutions that would help you build dashboards for the leaders in in the plant as well, so that you can have the analytics handy and can make predictions. And I guess what goes along with that would be today security, making sure not only you have the right information, it's seamless flow through the company, but ensure that it's secure as well.
100%. Yeah. Don't forget, as you move to a digital environment, data security is becoming more and more important every day. So you can't stress the importance of having a secure network in the process.
Very good. Well, Conrad, I want to thank you very much for taking us through the initial steps on a digital transformation checklist. If any of our viewers have further questions, feel free to include them in the chat. Conrad, I know you mentioned that there's some literature, maybe some articles that might help our viewers. Please feel free after this session, if you want to load some of those up. I want to remind folks that we do have in the chat the link for the recovery activation program. That's the DNA, or digital needs assessment test, that might help you determine where to start. And I just feel so fortunate to have Conrad here for taking his time. We'll make sure that his coordinates, I'm going to ask you, Conrad, to let us know your email, and we'll make sure that your coordinates are available. You're here, available, local, and the advice you provided in this short period of time certainly was helpful. Thank you for that. I'm going to ask Conrad if he has any final comments to make. But before I do that, I just wanted to remind people that this is the Brampton Board of Trade's expert interview series. This is one of many digital events, online events, that we have for our members tomorrow morning. If you are an exporter, you'll want to attend our trade network. We've got Honorable Pierre Pettigrew, another Deloitte advisor, talking about the geopolitical situation in China, Asia Pacific, and most importantly now under a new Biden administration. Also, experts from the Export Development Corporation will be talking a little bit about the opportunities in the Middle East, particularly the United Arab Emirates. This year, they'll be hosting the World Expo, which may have lots of opportunities for Brampton businesses. On Friday morning, we put on our advocacy hats. Another wonderful thing that the Board of Trade does is get business people together, and we help represent one another on the key business issues impacting your enterprises today. And we're meeting on Friday morning, 8 a.m. with the Deputy Leader of the Official Opposition of Ontario, Sarah Singh, and our local opposition MPPs, Guratin Singh and Kevin Yard. That is at 8 o'clock on Friday morning. And of course, next week is March, ladies and gentlemen. We're marching into spring, marching into International Women's Day, actually. And the Board of Trade will be celebrating that with our annual event called Inspire Her. And yes, it is inspiring. It'll be a wonderful panel discussion among the key business leaders on our board of directors, the women that are making a difference in our community. We also award the Naseem Somani Excellence Award for leadership. That will go to Charmaine Williams. So it's going to be a great, that's an evening event from, I think it's like 5 to 7. Check our event calendar at bramptonbot.com for those 3 events. Conrad, thank you again so much for outlining the high-level strategy, how to get started, the checklist, the pitfalls. This has been very, very informative. Anything you'd like to leave us with before we go?
No, I just want to thank you for having me. And if anybody wants to reach out, I think my coordinates will be on the website. So feel free to reach out. More than happy to help. We work with small to mid-sized companies, and we're always happy to help. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I want to say thank you so much to Deloitte for making your time available, for sponsoring this series. I also want to thank CN, Toronto Pearson, and Goodison Insurance for their support of today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this expert interview on Digital Transformation Checklist. We look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. Take care now.
Thank you.